Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a second-year international dental student at Griffith University on the Gold Coast of Australia. And I thought it might just be interesting to go through the tools that I had to buy for second year. And it's nearing the end of the first trimester, so we've actually used quite a few of them, so I can actually talk about what they are and what they're used for. And then I thought, why not also maybe talk about the cost? Because dental school is quite expensive and we have to buy these tools for second year. We also have to buy additional ones for third year, and they are for sim unit use only. So sim units are the practice heads that we use. So we drill on fake teeth in fake patients for the first year to learn the different procedures and practice our skills. So let's jump to it. So starting off, this is a box that I bought separately from a hardware store. So we actually get so many tools that we have to carry to the lab that everybody buys their own plastic bin. And this is actually how you tell whether somebody is in dental health sciences, which is becoming a dentist at the end, versus studying hygiene or being a dental technician, because they don't have to carry around so many tools. So if you see somebody at Griffith with a box like this, they are most likely in school to become a dentist. Okay, so we're sitting at my desk in my apartment, and as you can see, it's quite a nice day out, but unfortunately our apartment faces east, so we don't get really good light in here during the day. So hopefully this is okay. You can kind of see the shadows on the wall. And I thought that we would kind of work through the different sections, and we're going to start with the dental tech and pros stuff. So as part of our degree, we also cover hygiene, and we cover some dental tech and pro stuff. So we end up, I believe we build partial and full dentures. So in Canada, that's something that is a completely separate degree. It is here as well, but it's not quite as common. It sounds like quite a bit of Australian dentists actually do lots of prosthetic work. So that's what PRO stands for. So we haven't actually got to use any of this stuff yet because this is try 2. Just pointing down to the desk because I think it's easier. So this is the stuff that we have to have for dental tech and pro. So there's different mixing bowls that we have to have, different sizes. We get our own torch. We got a couple different spatulas, which I feel like we probably could have just literally got at a hardware store. Definitely use something like this in a home reno back home with my parents. And then also probably didn't have to buy this scalpel handle. I had a set of scalpels when I did my Bachelor of Sciences, but what can you do? And then we have a couple different blades. I'm not 100% sure what they are all used for. Looks like this says a Gritman knife. This one says a wax knife. And this one is not labeled. One Dental is the company that we have to get most of our instruments from, and there's actually a kit that they want us to order. So all of this comes in a special kit. We were convinced to buy straight from the company, but probably could have saved a couple bucks if you buy used. At Griffith, there is a Facebook marketplace specifically for dentistry where people can sell their used equipment. And then the second kit that we end up having to buy is this. These are called cassettes, these metal containers. And this one is specific for dental dams. So if you've ever gone to a dentist and they put one of these lovely things in your mouth, so it's rubber, and then they stamp it and place it on your teeth. And this one was, the dental dams are actually supplied by the school, so I could talk about that in a bit. But this is the equipment that you actually use. So I'm just going to talk about it as I put it back in. So they have a specific frame. So this is, I believe it's a Young frame. This is the guy who developed it, but it's like one of the most common. And then you have basically a hole punch. Then you have your handy dandy pliers. Boop, boop. And these open up the clamp to stick on your tooth. And then the kit comes with a range of different clamps. And because we have limited lab time, I usually have 2 clamps prepped at all times. So to prep, they want us to put dental floss on it, and this keeps the patient from swallowing it. So because we were doing the lower molars, they use the same size clamps on most of the teeth. So some of these other ones are for different sizes of teeth. So front ones versus your big molars in the back. So that's what this actually is for, is it stretches that clamp to go around your tooth. So here's a model, so you can actually stretch it and clamp it around a tooth. So, and then dental floss, of course, because of putting it on the clamp, but also when you have the dam on, you have to floss it down. And then scissors. So this is all what's in the kit. And then I was advised to throw in some Sharpies. As you can see in the dam kit, there is a template so that you can mark and punch for the correct teeth and get the correct sizing. And then I also have a little bit of water, well, it's technically lubricant. So because we're working on plastic teeth, and this is kind of like a rubber, and then you're placing a rubber dam, you need something to create a little bit of, simulate spit, let's say that. So that is the rubber dam kit. And then this is the last cassette, but technically it's 2 cassettes in one. It's the exam one, and it's also the amalgam composite kit, as well as that and that. So this section here is all of the amalgam tools. So that is the silver filling material. So it's not as popular nowadays, but it looks like this. So some people, depending on where you live, it still might be used because it's actually a very superior material, but it's not as conservative. So you end up having to take a little bit more of the tooth structure out, but depending on the size of the filling, that actually might not be the case. And it is not quite as popular anymore because as you can see, it's not quite as aesthetic. So that was a major concern. So when you mix the amalgam in a little pellet, you end up putting it in here. So this is basically to hold the amalgam while you're working with it. This is to transfer it to the person's mouth. This is to pack it into the cavity to smooth it out, and these 2 are for carving. And this guy is depending on the type of cavity. So for these ones, where there is a surface, but then it also goes onto the outside, which might be easier to see outside the mouth. So here's another one that I did and took out. So this is what they call a class 2 because it breaks that side. So this holds a band that looks like that the school also provides, and it holds it around the tooth to basically make it so that you can pack the material in. So if you think about construction, if you're building some type of form, so that's the form so that you can put the material in. These are your amalgam instruments. These ones are for composite. So again, something for packing and something for smoothing. Tweezers are forceps. These are quite common in anything medical. The trusty mouth mirror, you've probably seen before. Then we have a dental probe and explorer, so that helps you measure. So each one of those little marks is 1 millimeter, and that end helps. So both of these we actually use to like feel for smoothness, for anything we might have to remove, and also to measure when we actually drill out like our depth, our width, anything for our actual preparation. Then we have our enamel hatchet, which is exactly how it sounds. It kind of looks like a bit of a blade on the end, and you use it to remove enamel in certain conditions. And then these three are special for different preps. So some of them are for dental cements, and some of them are for shaping. We haven't really gotten into using these too much yet. So I've only just completed my first semester of year 2. I'm currently in exam season. So we have only done amalgam, and we have started some preparations for composite next trimester. Because the next thing we want to talk about is the burrs. So they can be diamond. We have some diamonds and we have some burrs. So burrs are kind of like a drill bit, and a diamond is really rough. The diamonds are metal that are coated in very abrasive, very fine diamond. So it actually cuts away using a different action than a blade. And then last but not least, I keep it in this because we end up drilling and we use water, so everything gets wet. So we have our tooth model. So we have an upper and a lower, and if you look at it, the teeth are slightly different size, and then they're all mirror images from side to side. And then in this model here, we actually have 2 different types of teeth. So we have the normal ones that we practice on, and then these are more expensive teeth with cavities in them. So that dark color and the holes are supposed to simulate actual cavities that we want to remove. So those were the couple of the ones that we were preparing for our next trimester. So this one still has a cavity in it, but they only wanted us to prepare the one side, not the other. And then this is how they go in. So like these 2 I loosened. So you can buy the teeth like this from the vending machine at the school, and it's a little bit more expensive, or you can buy straight from the manufacturer. And unfortunately, they're like $3.50 a piece, Australian, a screw in the back. So this is actually how we practice, having to screw in a new tooth every time we want to work on a specific one. So it makes our simulations need a little bit more planning, because when we practice on simulation units in the lab, we actually have to put a dam in every single time. And as you can see, when it's mounted in a head and you drill a tooth and then you want to redo it, you would have to remove it to swap out teeth. So it takes a little bit of planning. But yeah, this is my model teeth. I also forgot to say that the mirrors come with a couple extra heads. And then to just quickly cover what they actually supply you with in the lab that you don't have to buy. So you get an unlimited supply of dental dams. You just have to ask for more when you run out. And there's just a box of 36, and they come in different sizes. Then, of course, they give you dental floss, which is awesome. They give you these, which are micro brushes. You can see, you might not be able to see, but there's a tiny little brush on the end. So this is, depending on what material you use, you might have to use an acid to roughen the surface, You might have to use an adhesive, so you use these to apply that, or a sealer. So again, if you think about it in terms of building materials, if you're painting, let's say, metal, you might end up roughening up the surface, removing old paint, that kind of stuff, and then you would put an adhesive before you put your paint on. It's very like that. They also supply with cotton rolls, so these are for isolation, but they're also good for shining up your your amalgams when you're practicing. Gauze, which is great for, like, you usually hold it on the back of your glove and then you can wipe off excess material. Then a whole bunch of wedges, so the different colors are different sizes. So when you put a band around a tooth, sometimes you have to put in one of these triangular wedges to make sure that it follows the contour of the tooth. And then we also get these tiny little cotton pellets. So this can, in a clinic, could be used to stop bleeding. It can also be used for the same things as the cotton rolls, for like shining and moving product around. All right, and here, lastly, this is my organization box. So you can see this is where we keep all of our small things so they don't get lost. All of my spare teeth. These are actually all ones that I use to practice for the exam. So that's all the practice I did for a practical exam. At $3.50 a pop. So definitely going to try and find something cheaper over the break, because that's quite expensive. And quite a few of them are actually only drilled, they're not filled, because amalgam has mercury in it, and while that's not toxic to people, it's not great for the environment. So there's a lot of regulations on control of the substance, so you can't bring any home to practice in a lab sense. So once I've got a simulation unit to practice at home, since our labs at Griffith aren't open for extra practice, I would practice drilling at home, and then I was only doing amalgam fillings within the lab. Yeah, just gonna change the angle here. Yeah, this is my box, and all of the numbers are based on tooth numbers. Australia, like Canada, follows the international tooth numbering system instead of the universal like the States does. So these are based on the quadrant and then the tooth number. If that doesn't make any sense to you, if it's a 1-1, then that would be a central incisor. So it'd be an upper central incisor. It'd actually be on your right side. Versus a 6, if you count from your front tooth backwards, that would be a molar. So to prove to you that I'm not lying, that's a 6, that's a molar, and this is a front tooth. Yeah, so then they want us to organize because efficiency is a big thing. So if you're working on a tooth and you need to replace it, this way you don't have to dig through to find what you're looking for that's already pre-organized. And this is the last little sneak peek, so it's all packed up in the box. Got my spare teeth and my actual teeth. And unfortunately this doesn't fit inside the box. I have to carry both of them around, but it is what it is. So that is this week's video. So hopefully you found it interesting to see the different tools that we actually use and the prices of everything, because dentistry is expensive. But thankfully, lots of students buy secondhand, so once I am done with them in 4th year, I'll be able to sell them to a 2nd year. So save a little bit of money. Yeah, let me know if you liked this in the comments. I'm going to try and do a couple more dental videos and try to keep it low-tech, low-key, because I want everybody to be able to watch this, whether you are a dental student, somebody who wants to go into dentistry, possibly at Griffith, or just somebody who's like, I really wonder how dental school works, how do dentists practice before they get into an actual person's mouth. So that's it for me this week, and I will see you after my exams.